There's a question that eventually finds every soul who has genuinely begun to wake up, not the curious ones, not the seekers collecting ideas, but the ones who can't go back to sleep even if they try. The question is simple but unsettling. Why does it take so long? Why does awakening take so many lifetimes? Why does it feel like something ancient is moving now after so much preparation? If you have ever felt this, you are not alone. And more importantly, you are not late. Let's begin by clearing something gently but firmly here. Awakening is not an achievement, okay? It's not a reward. And it's definitely not a personality upgrade. Awakening is a capacity, and capacity takes time. Across cultures, scriptures, and inner traditions, you will hear the same language repeated again and again. Many births, many lives, long preparation, cycles of training. But here's what most people misunderstand. When wisdom traditions speak of many lifetimes, they are not necessarily asking you to believe in reincarnation in a literal sense. They're pointing to something far more precise, and that's patterning. Your human consciousness is patterned over time through experience, repetition, attachment, loss, survival, and adaptation. You don't wake up in one lifetime because you're special. You wake up because something has been trained long enough to hold truth without breaking inside of you. Think of a consciousness like a river. The water you see flowing today is fresh, but the riverbed, the grooves, the curves, the direction, those were carved very slowly. Awakening isn't about changing the water, it's about reshaping the riverbed. And reshaping a riverbed takes pressure, time, and repetition. Every lifetime, or if you prefer, every deep cycle of life, teaches something specific. One life teaches survival, another teaches attachment, another teaches power, another teaches love, and another teaches loss. None of these are mistakes, they are trainings. You don't awaken instead of living. You awaken because you lived fully inside limitation. Here's the paradox most spiritual narratives avoid. The ego is not the enemy. The ego is the training structure. Before awakening, the ego teaches you how to function, how to belong, how to protect yourself, how to desire, how to succeed. These are not trivial skills, they're what keep societies running. Awakening asks you to dismantle these structures without destroying your life. 3-3 on the timer. That's why it takes time. You have to learn how to let go of control after learning how to be responsible. Freedom without maturity does not create enlightenment, it rather creates a chaos. This is where many people get confused. They think awakening is about becoming softer, purer, or more spiritual. It's not. It's about becoming structurally sound. Awakening requires a nervous system that can hold uncertainty without panic, truth without superiority, power without domination, and love without possession. This kind of inner strength cannot be rushed. It has to be trained. And that's why many awakenings appear sudden but are not. What looks like a sudden awakening is actual, the final click after decades or lifetimes of preparation. By the time awakening happens, the psyche has already rehearsed surrender many times. Identity has already been disappointed often enough. Yes, Desire has already failed to deliver lasting fulfillment. Ambition has already hit its ceiling. Something inside you says quietly, enough. There must be something deeper. And that's not curiosity, that's readiness. Most souls don't awaken because they don't want to. Awakening costs too much. It costs belonging, certainty, identity, sometimes relationships, sometimes entire life paths. Okay? Awakening is not attractive to the unprepared. It strips illusions without replacing them immediately. Only a psyche that has been trained by life, sometimes harshly, can survive that emptiness without collapsing. This is why traditions speak of training across lifetimes, not because consciousness is slow, but because the truth is very heavy. You don't give a child the responsibility of fire before teaching them restraint. Truth is fire. Without discipline, it burns. Without humility, it inflates. And without grounding, it fragments. That's why you would see that in the modern life, there are so many souls with fragmented parts of themselves. There's also a biological dimension to all of this that I'm talking about here. Awakening isn't just philosophical insight, it's a neurobiological reorganization inside of you. Your nervous system has to learn how to stay regulated without external validation, without fear based motivation, without constant stimulation, without identity scaffolding. That's not mystical language, that's physiology. And physiology learns through repetition, not revelation. This is why awakening often happens later in life and after significant loss, failure, or initiation. Something has to exhaust the old operating system. Only then does the psyche release its grip. Only then does awareness stop trying to become something, start resting as what already is. Now, here's the part that matters most. If you are asking this question, why does it take so many lifetimes? It's not because you are at the beginning. It's because you are near the end of a long training arc. This question does not arise in beginners. It arises in those whose old motivations no longer work. You have achieved enough, lost enough, loved enough, failed enough. And now something quieter is asking for your attention inside of you. And that quiet voice, awakening, is not about escaping the world. You have to hear that voice, the inner voice. You can't just escape it, no matter what. It's about standing in the world without being owned by it. That level of freedom requires discernment, boundaries, humility, self trust. Those qualities are forged and not gifted. So, why does it take so many lifetimes? Because consciousness must be tempered with. Because power without wisdom creates harm. Because freedom without responsibility creates destruction. Because truth without compassion creates tyranny. Awakening is not a prize, it's a responsibility. And responsibility, whether spiritual, psychological, or worldly, has always required long preparation. The strange thing isn't that awakening takes so long. The strange thing is that it ever happens at all. That consciousness, after all its disguises, eventually remembers itself, not loudly, not dramatically but very quietly, as clarity, as steadiness, and as a refusal to live falsely any longer. If you are here listening to this, you are not behind. Seriously. You are simply at the point where the training has done its work, and now life begins to ask different question. And now life begins to ask a different question. Not who will I become, but what can I now hold without losing myself?